Welcome everybody. Today we're going to do some more work on the Amiga. Today I've decided we're going to swap our front shocks for some nice Bilstein shock absorbers. We're going to fit some nice new top mounts. We're going to re-grease the bearings as they're not that old. We're also going to decide what front springs we're going to put on because I've got a couple of sets I want to swap through. Now why am I changing the front shocks? Well, that's easy. This car's on 163,000 miles and they are the original shock absorbers. Now, they're not that bad, but they are a little bit crashy now, so I think the shocks are a little bit past it. So why not swap them? Now, as always, as I say, we keep things cheap. We don't spend excess money on this channel, just about keeping the cars nice. I actually had these shocks in my attic off a car that I fitted them to a few years back, so I know how many miles they've done, and they were only on the car for a year before I got rid of it. Now, the shocks that are going on the car are some nice Bilstein B4 gas shock absorbers. Compared to other Amigas, this is an MV6. That means it already sits a little bit lower. I don't want to lower it anymore. I like how it sits. I just want the front to not be bouncy, crashy and killing my spine every time I hit a pothole. On top of the shocks, we're going to be putting some nice new top mounts in, courtesy of Ferry Bilstein as always. Now, Amigas do like to eat top mounts, and these are about probably the third set I've put on. You can get upgraded ones that last a hell of a lot longer. However, most of them are polybush and I don't really want to go down that route. I have done a few bushes on the car in poly and it does add a fair bit of MVH issues, which I'm trying to combat now because it does drive better with them. I've never felt a need poly on these, it's just they don't last that long. However, I have got upgraded top mount plates that I made, which are very similar to a Lotus Carlton, so that should help them last a little bit longer. Plus, decent brand as always. A decent brand is going to last a bit longer than a cheap brand. There is one company I know do a rubber one exactly like this, but this is better made, it's upgraded, it's got stiffer steel inside and this and that is a Pedders mount which is fit to Monaro. But again, as I keep saying, we like to do things cheap and easy. That means ordering them online. They're a lot of money, probably more than 4 times the cost of 2 of them. As a daily car that doesn't actually do a massive amount of miles, I decided it wasn't worth it. Now, something else I've been wanting to change on the Amiga for a while, something dead easy, and I haven't changed it because I lost it, is this breather hose. This sits on the top of the engine, I'll show you later. Basically on mine I've had to chop this a few times because they always perish and it's not very good, so I've managed to get a good new old one off someone on the internet. So we're going to give that a little blow through with some electrical contact cleaner or brake cleaner, make sure it's all nice and clean, and swap that over as well. So as always, we're going to keep it nice and easy, do it on the driveway, we're going to jack it up, axle stand under it, we're going to go from there, we're going to get the shock off, we're going to strip it down, swap the spring, throw it back in, and it'll be done in about 5 minutes on YouTube. The one thing I can't do is work on the car like this because my wife will kill me if I get more clothes rotten. So I need my safety hat as always. Much better. As always, first thing, get this car jacked up in the air because otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. Next, as you know, let's get the wheel on. Right, wheel off. Let's have a look, see where we're up to. So last time we were on this was Holiday and Shed Fest prep. Remember we put all the new brakes on. They're looking awfully nice, seem to be wearing nice and evenly. Coating seems to be protecting the disc a nice little bit, so I'm happy about that. Right, so shock absorber. Looks like we have got a little bit of oil leaking out, which is good because it means they are worn, which is what we want. Let's assess what we've got to do. On a lot of older cars with a McPherson strut, you had one bolt holding the shock at the bottom and then you had your top mount on the top. A lot of more modern stuff has a hub with 2 bolts and you can normally adjust it to give you a little bit of camber, and the Amiga, funnily enough, has this setup. So we have a bolt top and a bolt bottom. You got to take them 2 bolts out. That releases the shock absorber off the hub. Nice and easy. The hard part is the drop link. Now a drop link isn't hard to swap, but when a drop link's been on a while, you can tend to struggle to get them off. Generally speaking, you might end up having to replace it. So if I can't get it off, I'm just going to cut it off and I'll order 2 new drop links and fit them tomorrow. It's not an issue. We'll see on that. Hopefully they'll come off because they're not actually that old. Then up top, as I said, you got your top mount plate with your cap. Let's see if this comes off. There we go. And a nice big nut. Nut off, cap off, shock falls down, new one in, bolt it up, just like that. So on the Amiga, the 2 bolts holding the hub on to the strut, 18mm, good old 18mm, it's what we like, isn't it? There's one. Always gets stuck. Here we go. I'll just leave that on loose there. So crack the next one off. Always make sure your socket is fully on the nut because you don't want any chances of rounding anything. Walk that back on a little bit. So that is them two loose now. So, dropping. Dropping nut, 19mm, just to be a pain in the backside. Again, socket, ratchet, spanner, it doesn't matter as long as it's on the nut, it's not going to round, it's sitting right. Take your time, try and get it off. And the right tool is the one that works, hence the auxiliary belt spanner. So that allowed me to crack it off. Long arm, more leverage, you know, longer the better. Now it's cracked off, good old ratchet spanner. Obviously make sure it's going the right way, you know, lefty loosey, righty tighty, but when you're in front of it, it's back to front and upside down, so don't forget that. When I'm doing these, I like to put my finger on the middle as I'm ratcheting, and then once I feel it start turning, then I know I've either got to put the Allen key, Torx, or whatever it is in the centre to stop it rotating so you can take the nut off. There we go, that's moving in the middle. You've now got to find out whether it's a Torx, an Allen key, spline, I don't know, a daisy, whatever it is these days, and pop that in, hold it, and then put your spanner back on, and use them muscles you keep having to work on old cars with. Drop link nut, lovely. Centre of mine were a 6mm Allen key. So that's off now. So them two bolts we undid before, two on the strut, they're out. That's what you end up with. You end up with the hub moves out the way, and the strut sits there. So there's the two holes. And there's your two. There's your slot. So that moves now. So that's all held in. Drop link's still there because it's with the suspension angle, and that won't come out easy. But we're going to take the top nut off, pull the shock out. That can come out. Then we can try and get the drop link off the actual shock once it's off the car. Top mount, 24mm spanner. They're not always the same, depends what shocks and top mount and nuts you've had fitted. Wind it off. These shocks have a hex on the top. Some have an internal Allen key, just like the drop links. You'll need to hold it at some point probably to get the nut off. These are actually coming off. Lovely. When you undo this nut and the bottom's all undone, have a guess what's going to work like you wouldn't believe. Gravity.
Oh, let that sink in.
When you undo that, that drops. These things end up looking like pancakes. So be careful, keep your feet out the way. Way, there we go. Nut. Top mount plate. And there's the shock. There we go. And there is one leg off a Vauxhall Amiga. We've now got to strip this down so I can get the bearing out, reuse the cup on the top, spring plate, rubber buffer at the bottom, get the drop link off, bish bash bosh, rebuild it onto one of them, shove it back in the car, and be done with it. It's seized. We tried fluid, we tried cleaning it, I've had grips on it, both sides, and I've actually, bear in mind this is a 1/2 inch tool, started bending and twisting my Allen socket. I'm going to angle grind the nut off. I'm going to angle grind the shit out of this. As always, safety hat, safety glasses, safety squint. And just like magic, the nut comes off. What a load of rubbish that was. I said I'm going to get new ones because they are actually quite... That end... Oh, that's hot. Oh, that end was hot. They are actually a little bit loose. So, to be fair, we're swapping, but so I've got my car, I will put them back on with two fresh nuts, just temporary. So, drop links off. Handy if you've got a vice, not necessary if you haven't. Let's get this in here. Just gives you both hands free. Hands free. Ha! Shock absorbers. This spring is held under tension with the top mount, the plate, the nut and the washer. That's how big the spring should be. You go and wind that nut off, that's going to go straight through your ceiling or through someone's face or cause some serious damage. So we need to take the tension of the springs further than what the shock is to allow us to be able to release them. So spring compressor time. Spring compressors. If you're not using them before, they're fairly straightforward. You got 2 clamps and a bar through the middle. You sit it on the spring, you sit it under the spring, and when you screw it in, it goes and closes up. So you end up with that. Fit them on opposing sides to the spring, evenly taking slack up as you go, and you end up with a non-tension spring on your shock. Now, these are the cheapest and worst spring compressors ever. And to be fair, I don't like using them, especially on stuff like this that's got really chunky, heavy duty springs. They're not the safest. At the very least, I'd say maybe have 4 and try and get 4 on just to be careful. But ideally, if you're going to be doing a lot of suspension stuff or even just a bit of it, maybe invest in a decent pair. You can, you know, I think they were like 20 quid for a pair or something like that. You can pay like 50, 60 for slightly better made ones. Or if you really fancy it, which is what I'm going to get at home, is a floor mount one for about 200 quid. Again, we keep it cheap. These do work, just maybe don't buy the cheapest ones you can and maybe buy 4 and just be careful with them. As I say, I've had these for a few years and I've never had a problem, but there's better tools for doing springs. So we've got a loose spring, so we've got to get the nut off the top now. Ooh, 24 mil. Ha! Buzz it off. Oh, lovely. Accident. Now, these washers on some cars are just flat. On the Amiga, they're shaped, they're cupped. Easy advice, if you can't remember things, lay it out the way it came off. And then you know which way to put it back on. Top mount actually doesn't look too bad, but let's compare it to a new one. And you will see the difference in height is about 5-6 mil. So it has compressed a little bit, but they are by no means shot. So to be fair, I'm going to keep them just as spare because you never know. Now, inside here is a bearing. And there we go, lovely. So, bearing. Now, it's a little bit graunchy. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get a pot, I'm going to open it up, I'm going to strip it, I'm going to blast all the ball bearings clean, remove any grit, I'm going to re-grease it, rebuild it, and see what we've got, because I haven't bought a new set. Bearing, rebuilt. Split it, throw everything in a bucket. Ooh, nasty. I don't know whether you can actually see that. Can you see it? Oh, look at that. Dirty water. Split it, throw it in a bucket, spray it in brake cleaner, electrical contact cleaner, anything that'll flash off. Clean everything, wipe everything down. Start building it back up. Plenty of grease, bearing grease. Make sure it's grease suitable for bearings or something of similar nature. And then behold, a nice, smooth, rebuilt top mount bearing. Next piece, spring rubber buffer. It's shaped so the top of your spring sits against that. Bump stop, which pushes through. There's your bump stop sticking through. And another one of them dome caps, which sits on the top. So that all stays just like that. Put that to one side. We can take the spring off and move that shock out the way. And then release the tension off these springs. And this is where it's a little bit different to what you'd normally do. Normally you would leave it as is, put it on the new shock, build it back up. I've got another set of springs and I just want to compare the free length, which is the length of the spring not compressed, and see whether they sit a little bit stronger, because these are the original ones. They're the exact same spec springs, but I'm sure they come off a lower mileage car. So if they sit a little bit freer, I'll go with them. Well, they're all pretty much identical. So all I'm going to do is look at the 3, condition, pick the best one, and we'll get it straight on. Press it we go. Back with this. There's the spring against the notch. Now, our nice new Ferry Bilstein top mount with our nice new bearing inside. So just make sure when you fit it, you put it in the right way, because they do go in both ways. And there you have it. Sorry, the battery died. You can see now, cupped washer on the right way, nuts tightened down, spring compressor clamps are released, and we've got one nice new leg. Now, normally I would say, be careful when fitting legs, shocks, dampers, whatever you want to call them, left and right, sometimes handed. Fortunately, on this, it makes it so that it doesn't matter which side of the car you put it on. Let's go get this one back on the Amiga. Unfortunately, it's not a cracking day today, and it's just starting to rain. So it's best get this quick. Shock is in. I've loosely fitted the bolts. Now, what I was saying before is this. Them two bolts allow you to set the camber of the wheel. Before people jump in the comments and go, oh, you're going to need an alignment now and this and that, and oh, it's never going to be right. And I had this aligned previously, and I know for a fact because I did it. I maxed out the camber, the least camber, shall we say, on the front wheels. So I know if I just hold it out at the top and tighten them up, that's where it was. It may be very slightly different. It's not going to kill the car. It's fine. At some point I might get it realigned because I might change a bush or something or whatever. But this, pull it right out at the top. Minimal camber because they run too much as stock. So minimal camber gives you around 1 to 1.1 degree negative. And that's fine. Tighten them two up. Cables in the brackets. Well, hose I should say. Hose and cable in the brackets. We're going to tighten the top mount nut up with my custom top mount plates. Now I said before, different shocks have different mounts, so this one's got an Allen key, although it's a little bit worn, so I've hammered the Torx into it. The old one was like a 10mm hex on the top, so it just depends what brand of shocks you have. That's it. Tight. I remember what used to annoy me about these shocks. The bleeding cap doesn't fit. That's going to irritate me, that. So there's a nice new little project. Maybe I might make a billet set of caps. As you can see now, that top mount disc sits perfectly flat. The standard top mount plates are dished and they should sit flat with the struts up, and over time what happens is, because the bush compresses, it gaps and allows a bit of free flow flex, whatever you want to call it. So when you fit a new one, they always go flat again. Now these mounts I made, I've got a solid steel disc there. They're much thicker, they're stiffer, and they raise the point at which it clamps onto the strut. It's a copy of what Motors Carlton's had. So this is the original side, still with my top mount plate, but you can see it's got a gap underneath. Not very big, but it has gapped. And that's with my stiffer plates. We know they've already compressed the top mounts because we saw it when I took them off. It should make it feel better, handle better, and obviously now the new shocks are going to make it ride over bumps better. Shock off, strip down, new one rebuilt, back on. Got to order a drop link. I'm going to order a pair because I might as well just do the other one. I'm not going to film the other side, same as always. You know how to do it now, and if you're watching this, it's because you're interested and you've probably already done it. And you probably know more than me anyway. We've done that, so I'm going to have a quick drink and some food. And then I will do the hoses, show you where they go. And we might even do a little upgrade. Well, it's the next day. I went to do the other side yesterday and pissed down. So I wasn't standing in the rain doing the other side. I'm just about to put the other side on now, seeing it's a nice day. And I'm not going to film it, because as I said, you've seen one side, the other side's exactly the same. So we've done the same again. Shock off, new shocks ready to go on. New top mount, rebuilt the bearing, lovely and smooth. Fresh grease, we like a bit of lube, don't we? Don't like it dry. But what I thought I'd show you, the damping of the old shocks. Here's the old shock. Can we see? No. Here we go, yes we can. So I'm going to push it right down. Still got a good resistance, to be fair. And then we're going to count how long it takes to reach full stroke. As you see, it actually doesn't. After about 12 seconds, the last little bit it doesn't get to. So, as I said, I had these in the cupboard. I know how long they've been on a car for, so they weren't on that long. They're a lot stiffer to push down for a start. Oh, Christ. But the return, not even worth counting. You can see that. So the damping is a lot better. It reacts better. That's going to give a nicer ride over bumps. It's going to give a nicer ride on smooth roads and better handling. So, as I say, they do work. You know, they weren't broke. They're not an MOT fail because they're not leaking oil everywhere. But you could just tell driving the car that the front was quite crashy because the damping had gone. So that's why we're swapping them. So as I said, I'm not going to film fitting the second one. I'll film the drop links, which I'm going to go pick up in a second. Bought a pair from my local Motor Factors, £10 each again. Not expensive, reasonable brand, Apex, same as what I use on my brakes. So we'll get them fitted and we'll fit the hose. And then that little bit of a goodie I said, we might have a go at fitting them. So I've been in the shop, been the Motor Factors, got our drop links. Here we go, here's one of them. You'll have seen one of these before if you worked on a car. Roll bar to strut or hub knuckle or whatever it connects to on different cars. Here's the one in the box. Apex. As I said, I use Apex a lot. They're a good brand, they're cheap. Never had a problem with them. I use them all for brakes, stuff that's just run of the mill. I use suspension parts as and where I can. £9.50 each. Not expensive. Now, you could argue that maybe they won't last as long as a Febby or a Fag or something else. At £9 odd, even if you were to get 2 years, 3 years out of them. I mean, them last ones that were on there now, they've been on 4 years maybe, and they were, I think, like £18 each when I got them. So they were like double the price of this. So if these last 2 or 3 years, they're fine. The strut's on, so while I'm here with the wheel off, we'll get this drop link on. So, one end in the top of the strut, the other end in the roll bar. Get it pushed down, and that's it seated. Same as before, inside there is a hex. I did say yesterday it was 6mm, I got that wrong, it's a 5. Nut on loose on the top. There we go. We will get our good old ratchet spanner. Again, it's lefty loosey, righty tighty, but your back to front, so it's left for tightening. Pop that Allen key in. Oh. Drop link nuts are never really stupidly tight, so we'll just do that for now. Spanner on that. You know what I said, it's lefty loosey, righty tighty, back to front. Turn it round. Even I'm an idiot sometimes. But we're alright, we're okay. There we go, getting tight. Right, that's nipped up. So, let's go get the book out. So as I always bang on, you can go on the forums, on older cars, you can get a Haynes manual. I mean, if you're in a garage, you'll have access to E3 or auto data, which I do in work, but we're not in work, so we're going to treat it like most of you out there are just, you know, having a look around. So I've got a Haynes manual because obviously this is my car. I have a selection of Haynes manuals. Suspension settings. Anti-roll bar. 65 newton meters, 48 foot-pounds. That's a good like that. But do you know what? We've got a torque wrench, so we'll use it just to keep everybody happy. So back on the car. There's the torque wrench, 48 foot-pounds. Set that. There we go. I've already done the top one, so there we go. Torqued up. Lovely. Wheels back on that side. Go back around the other side now. Bit of a pain in the backside having to jack it back up again, but you know, didn't have the drop links. So impact guns are great when they're fully charged. and then you got to get the stuff back off. Leverage is your friend. Buy a tube. There we go, front row seat. There we go, front row seat. So, nothing complicated again, same as the other side. Nice bag. One nice new drop link, all the joints are nice and stiff. Now, something I haven't said is sometimes, this one has a hex like I said, 5mm. You can also see there's 2 flats just there. So in the event of taking it off, if that's rounded in the middle or something slips, you can get a very slim spanner, hold it and wind your nut off, or also for tightening it up if you can't get the Allen key or you haven't got one. Push the roll bar down, which will be hard now because the other side's in. Here we go. Put them in, so same again. Wind the nuts on by hand, so as you don't cross thread them. There we go, that's all lovely. Same again, Allen key, spanner, then torque wrench. Drop link on, that's all in. As I said, brakes are looking good. Everything else seems okay bar the usual old Vauxhall corrosion everywhere. But as I said, we've done a lot of miles the last couple of months and it's been absolutely fantastic. So that's what we want. Walk your nuts on by hand. I know it sounds like I'm teaching you to suck eggs, but it's very easy to put the bolt in nut or bolt in the gun, fire it in and cross thread it. Just start it off by hand, use the socket if you want. If your wheels are quite recessed like mine, put the stud in. Once it's started, you're fine. Just get it started with the by hand. Send it. Now, when you do any suspension work on a car and you drop it back down, your car is going to look like it's on stilts. That's because nothing's settled, nothing's compressed, nothing's gone sorted itself out. Your wheels will all be ski width because they've been jacked up in the air if you've done them uneven. Once you roll it and you drive it a little bit, everything will sort itself out and it'll settle after a few miles. We're now going to do that hose. I keep losing this thing like no tomorrow. This is a Y breather hose. Why? Yep, exactly. They sit on the top at the back of the intake plenum. That is the hose there. You've got the Y, comes out and goes down there somewhere. As you can see, we know it's going to have a clip down there. This should have 2 nice clips on the top, but over time I've had to cut this short and back and back and back on this. It doesn't sit quite right. It's still ripped slightly. Basically, I don't like it. You can see I've took off about 25mm over the time, quite a bit. So we're going to swap this. Now basically it's just a case of finding out where that goes, which is down there. Oh, there we go. Oh, trying to just get your hands in and have a little feel. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the coil pack off, I think. And if I'm right in saying, yep, that's it there. And I have put a little Jubilee on it. So I just need a little screwdriver. After a lot of messing over the fact that this idiot that you call me put a Jubilee clip on it in a wrong orientation, I had to use my little Lecky ratchet with the flathead bit on the end just to get to it. So there's the old one. And there's the new one. Now, the old one is actually just starting to perish a little bit, and as I've said, I've chopped a fair bit off that, which makes it more, you know, it's stretching itself when it's in there. Out with the old, in with the new old new, and we'll try and get that little clamp back on because that's the original clip. I tried to get that back on, I have got the right pliers and such. Couldn't quite get the pliers to grip it properly, so I couldn't push it down to the bottom of the hose. I'd have had to take all this off, which quite frankly I'm just not doing. I swapped it for a Jubilee clip again, nice new one, but I've just positioned it so that I can get my screwdriver in, nip it up. Let's even try put my little socket on. See if I can do it with that. Much better location for my little 1/4 inch ratchet. Oh, that's lovely. That's what we want. Just a little bit at a time. And this is a lot better Jubilee than the last one. It's a stronger one. It's got none of the little lines in it, openings. Makes them quite weak. This is a solid band Jubilee. So, oh, lovely. Right, the other little breather pipe, that just pushes on. So that's on. So now we just need to plug that coil pack back in. Down there, wait for the click. Lovely. Push them back there. Sit them there like that. So coil pack's in, 2 breather pipes are in. Got them 2 on there, so I push them on just so it could hold it. 2 nice little Jubilee clips. Loosen them out to maximum. Lovely. That's them. Not overly tight, don't need to be. Stubby screwdrivers are very good because it stops you putting too much pressure on. So the next thing I want to do is what I said before, something I've been after doing for a while, and it's just a bit of, not so much a performance increase, but just a rejuvenation. We could call it an injection. I got myself some new injectors. The reason I'm swapping my 3.2 ones for these blue ones is they flow a very little bit more. Apparently the 3.2s run a little bit lean top end. How true that is, I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that when people build the later engines up, doing headers, etc, they always end up moving to the blue injectors just to give them that little bit more scope and stop the car running too lean. I managed to source myself a set of 2 litre injectors. I've had them ultrasonically cleaned, I've had new seals put on them. We're going to get them straight in the car. Injectors, where do they live? Like any car, they're in the engine. Where in the engine, you ask? Well, they're somewhere in there. So we've got to take upper plenum off, throttle body which is attached to the plenum, disconnect the hoses, move the bit underneath, then we're going to get to the fuel rail, we're going to take that off, we're going to pull every single injector out, swap them over, bish bash bosh, job's done. Tools wise, it's pretty straightforward. We've got a few E-torques, which are external torque sockets for the top of the plenum. We've got some spanners to take off the fuel lines, in and out. I think that's an 8 or a 10 milli bolt for a bracket there. Screwdriver or a socket for your Jubilee clips. And then, as far as I'm aware, that is pretty much it. 4 breather hoses off the back. Air pipe off the side. 1 fuel pipe off. The next one's a different size. That's them 2 off. Like these ones. Give them plenty of slack to get them off. There we go. That's that. That's that. Then there's an electrical connector. Get that off. Vacuum line. On these, that is the bane of your life. 4 E12s on the top of the plenum. So we have a coolant pipe on the bottom here, which we're not going to take off because why would we? That vac hose off and leave that up there. Now that can sit just like that. So now you can see the upper plenum and the injector rail. Not entirely sure how that comes out. Wiring, pull, Torx bolts, hold the fuel rail on. You need to take these 2 off as well, and I'm hoping that we should be able to just wiggle that out without taking this plenum off. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens. These are E8, so again, external torques. Number 8. I'll put a link in the description to a decent little set. So, a bit of fuel's going to come out obviously. Now, there's a Schrader valve here. Release the pressure so there's no excess pressure. You're not going to stop the fuel dribbling, but there's no pressure behind it, which I did do before. So, now, plug all the injectors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that, with a bit of wiggling, so there's the fuel rail, and here's the injector harness with the injectors. So as you can see, we've got 6 injectors. It's 3 cylinders that side, 3 cylinders that side. Grey injectors. Our new ones are blue. Now, bigger injectors do not give you more power. Do not listen to anyone who says that, they don't. Unless your car is tuned for the bigger injectors and it's able to produce more power and therefore you need the bigger injectors. Lashing a set of injectors in will not give you more power instantly. However, injectors do wear. Over time, the spray pattern will go a little bit funny, it won't be as efficient, blah blah blah. So replacing injectors can in effect release the power you've lost. I said these blue injectors flow slightly more. Yes, they do. Is it going to give me more power? Probably not. As I said, they don't automatically give you power. If my grey ones are worn, these will be better. So they may give me a few extra horsepower and torque just because you're putting it back to being 100% injector. So why didn't I fit new grey ones? Purely because I've got plans down the line for this engine. I want to do the headers. I want to do the cats. I want to do the heads. I want to do cams. And ultimately, I'm going to need these 3 litre injectors. Now, will it overfuel with these? No. The later engines had dual amber sensors. They were closed loop ignition. The fueling is controlled very well. A lot of people seem to think these run a little bit lean at the top end, so this might actually help it a little bit. Because we all know everything sits at the top end all the time. So, we're going to swap out the grey ones. We're going to put these in. Just going to see. Who cares? We'll just see. We'll just see what. You can see exactly the same size. Let's take this little clip off. Oh, feisty. Put it in there. Lovely. Put that back in there. That way. Put our little metal clip back on. One injector done. As simple as that. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now, most old things I say get rid of. The car was running, so they're obviously working. Maybe not 100%, but there's no reason you can't get them cleaned if you need to use them again at a later date. So, put them in a box, keep them clean, put them in a cupboard. If you ever need them today, just go and send them off. A lot of injectors places do injector cleaning for like, I don't know, you can get a basic clean for like £10 to £12 an injector, so it's not a lot of money really. Not when you consider a new genuine Bosch injector is like knocking on close to £40 an injector and you got 6, so yeah, it's worth getting them cleaned. So it's back together. I'm just gonna tighten up the last few things, so make sure all my jubilees are nice and tight. Give yourself a minute when you're finishing a job off and just have another mooch over, make sure you're not missed anything. Better take a minute now than cause an issue later. So just double check everything. You know, there's nothing wrong with double checking. Right, they're on, they're on, they're on. That's on. Back lines on both sides. That's fine. Nothing's fell off that. Fuel lines are on. Throttle body injectors on. Hose clip. That's on. That's on. They're in. They just need tightening up. As always, correct torque. Click. 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 And then just double check. Click, click. Click, click. Click, click. Click, click. Lovely. So, shall we see if she starts? Fuel pumps on. First, let's check. No obvious leaks, can't hear anything. It was squeaky bum time for a couple of seconds then when the management light flashed up. But it's been off. Obviously all the fuel's returned back to tank. We swapped injectors, they're fresh injectors. You know, the engine's all of a sudden got different injectors, had no fuel in it for a split second. The plenum's been off, so then it's resealed. It'll throw a wobble the first time you turn it on, potentially. It's happened to me before. It sorts itself out once it knows what it's doing, what it's got. The amber sensors kick in, it's closed loop, it sorts itself out. Now it's running fine, and as you can see, the only light we've got on the dash is the handbrake. So it's been quite a good video, this one, I think, personally. So we've done new shocks, new top mounts, rebuilt bearings, we put drop links on, placed the breather hose at the top, forgot about that one, which has helped with the idle, by the way. It's been a week since I did them, so and then today swapped the injectors over and all seems okay. So yeah, that's a good little it was spread out over a few days but made into one video. So sorry they're a bit sporadic lately, it's just awkward getting, you know, that much on. We got time to do everything. That was a good video on this. I'm hoping the next video either going to be something on the wife's Mazda, a good update on the Puma, but going forward we're going to have more things to do with this. Might take you down to Cafe in the Machine, do a little video, a little road trip, maybe get Dave out in his RS, you'll get to see that. And yeah, we'll start modifying, I think, a little bit now and start doing a few upgrades to the old beast. So thanks as always for watching. Like and subscribe, click up there, click down there for more videos, or somewhere wherever I decide to put it. I might put it right on my face. But yeah, thank you again, and keep watching, and I'll see you again soon.